Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I just wanted to share with you just a quick video. I want to try and keep this simple, just a very basic watercolour painting. Today's scene is going to be a picture that I took photo using my camera, and it's we spent a day in Anglesey. One of our favourite beaches. Just trying to think what it's called. Abberfraw beach. So it's a really nice beach if you've not been in North Wales. And it's just a simple scene. So if you want to have a go yourself, you can. I'll try and keep it quite in depth. It's going to be quite simple, quite easy to do. Doesn't matter where you're at with your painting. I'll try and keep it as simple as possible. So why not give it a go? So that said, let's get started. Okay, and one thing I've done, I've found my mister bottle. So give that a light spray. Make sure the paper nice and wet, and then obviously the angle of the board which I'm using will help with the running and the blending of the paints, the pigment itself. So I've just got a mix of ultramarine and cerulean blue, which often makes a really nice sky. So there we go. I want to try and get this colour nice and blocked in with no white, although it doesn't really matter on the image itself. I do have a couple of clouds, so don't worry too much about that at this stage. There is a little bit of add a little bit of red to this blue. It's getting late in the afternoon, so you get those nice colour changes happening. So I'm just adding a bit more red. Now also don't forget, in watercolour, the pigment that you put down does dry a lot lighter than what you put down, so make sure that you don't do it too strong, but don't do it too light. And then let's see, so that water just helps the colours to get a nice blend, nice softness. And then coming to the bottom of the scene, we have the sand. So I'm just going to go ahead and mix up a little bit of yellow ochre to the mix. And again, you can see I'm not worried about that mixing. I want it to be nice and soft. So there we go. As we come down the page, I want to maybe add a little bit more pigment, get this a little bit stronger. And maybe it's a good idea to mix up your colours before you start, and that's not what I've done. So I'm just taking a little bit more time just to get the right colours coming in here. But there we have it. There's the first wash, and so it's nice and nice and soft with those nice soft colours. In fact, what I do have, don't forget to have your tissue paper at hand, because I'm going to take some of these clouds out, and it's easier to do when the paper's nice and wet still. That nice cloud removed just by lifting. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can either use your brush, just clean your brush out. Clean your brush out, get it nice and dry, so then it takes off the pigment. There we go, we can do that a number of times. Take out the pigment. And just lift that, and it also depends on the quality of the paper that you're using as well. So these are just soft clouds. Maybe it would have looked better if I'd have used a little bit darker on the clouds, but on the sky. But it's a nice subtle clouds. There we go, that's the first wash. So I'm just going to let that dry, and then we can go in. There's not too many details on this painting, but that's the first stage done. So I'm just going to let this paper dry, and then I can go in for the next stage, the next couple of layers. Okay, so the paper's pretty much dry. You can see there's a little bit of a buckle, but I'm going to try and work through that. It can sometimes be a little bit distracting, a little bit difficult to do, but I'm just putting in the distant mountains here, and I'm not going to be exact with this. There we go. So you want a good solid line at the top of the mountains, and then just add some water underneath, and I'm just blotting my brush out with some clean water just to fade as it comes down. You get a little bit of that mist, and there we go. You want to try and get the bottom of this as straight as possible, and obviously not at a slant. I can't really make out whether that's straight enough, but I'm not going to worry too much. So there's the bottom of the mountains, and you can again use a little bit of blotting. Have these harsh. We don't have these harsh lines. It wants to be nice and soft. You can see that's not really what I want. It will, as it dries, it will soften up. Just looks a bit cloudy. There we go. Over here is a bit lighter. So that, just doing this alone, as you can see, this gradual fade, it gives nice distance to the image. It gives a nice depth to the scene, and that's what I wanted to capture. Now go in with the same colour, just adding a bit of green to that, a bit of sap green. And here's where the sea, and a bit more water. You can see that buckle is actually interfering now with my flow going across the page. There we go. Now at this stage, if you're doing water like this, it's actually okay to have broken lines, a bit of the light colour showing underneath, because that works with the water. You get that sparkle effect. And I'm just going to go in there and strengthen, darken the sand area. Go. You can see it just strengthens things up a little bit. So don't be afraid with watercolour to darken, to go in the dark tones. I think that's something that most people, including myself, was afraid to do. A lot of times I'd do a watercolour and call it finished and leave it, and it just looks a bit washed out. So don't be afraid to go and do your darkest darks. I think there's a fear of spoiling your painting if you go and add your different layers. So don't be afraid of doing that. And I think when you master that, when you are not afraid of adding, I think that's when things start taking shape. You start getting better as a watercolour artist by not being afraid. So here we go. There we go. Okay, now I can leave that again. Sorry, you can see a bit of a shine. It's coming down the middle just because the paper's still wet. But I'm going to leave that to dry once again, so then I can add in some more details to the scene. Okay, now normally when painting, I do normally map out. I usually do a pencil sketch, usually with a 2B or 4B pencil, nice and soft lead. But with this one, because it's such a simple scene, and I just wanted to get the colour down first, so I didn't want it mapped out, so to speak, as accurately as possible. I wanted to just be quite free, let the colours mix and blend, have a softer approach, because there's not too much detail in this scene. So I decided to use the pencil after the initial wash itself. So I'm just doing this headland here. So it comes down about there, and this is quite a bit darker than the rest of the scene. So it comes down about there. Again, you want to try and get as straight as possible, and then there's a bit of a bump here, a bit of land here, and then again a bit of land here. and that is darker than all the rest. And then I just want to create a bit of a line so we can see the land from the shore itself, where the sea comes in. And it's hard to get this line because of the bumpy, the curves in the paper. But again, I'm going to work around that. And then we have this figure. So the figure is almost center of the scene, although it's just a bit off from the center. I'm not going in too much detail. It's more of a silhouette, this figure. And then we've got a dog. So there's the dog. And there we go. That's just roughly, just marking out. And then I can start. I'm going to use a smaller, thinner brush. I'm switching to a thinner brush just to get this the headland. So this is quite a darker colour now in contrast, because this is closer to the foreground. So I'm just mixing up this nice earthy, yellow ochre, a bit of sap green, a bit of the blue. Just get that nice earthy sort of colour. Bit of dark brown. So this will just take me a little bit just to get the right mixture, right colour. There we go. So this will be the darkest. Darkest part of the scene. I'm going to add a little bit of green to that and let the colour mix on the page. As oftentimes it does make a better, gives you a better result rather than mixing on the palette all the time. Sometimes it's nice to mix on the page itself, on the paper. I'm just going to take a bit more of that green, as there must be a bit of a grass on the on here. In fact, I'm just going to lift a little bit of that middle. I'll do it actually with my brush. I don't want those harsh patterned. So when you're using kitchen roll or paper towel to blot, you do get the pattern from the tissue or kitchen towel itself. So I want to try and avoid that. I don't want it to look, it's got a pattern on the land. There we go. Okay, so there's a bit of green in there. And I'm gonna, there's actually it goes quite dark on the bottom of the land and on the top, so I will be going in and doing some more for that. Again, it's quite difficult when the paper's all buckled as it is. That does actually join. And it goes quite way out like that. And then just a little bit popping out here. So that, and there we go. Just trying to get this. I don't want to come too far down trying to make it straight, but it does need to edge. I did try putting some masking tape. That's an idea, to put some masking tape so you get a horizon line, but it just wasn't sticking. It wasn't working in my favour, so maybe when this is completely dry and maybe after I've finished the painting, maybe I'll go in and do a solid line, because I'm just having a little bit of a problem here. Oh, maybe I've got it here. Again, it doesn't necessarily matter too much because you've got the water meeting the land itself, and you've got obviously movement from the sea, so yeah, I could get away with that. And let me get some more blue, sort of darker bits of blue, so I can go into the sea itself. We've got these different, lighten that up. You got the different tones within the water. I think the only thing you gotta watch or be careful for is you want to get this as straight as possible, because obviously you don't have hills or anything in the sea. It wouldn't look right if the water sort of bends and curves everywhere. So the paper buckling in the middle there, you just gotta try and work around that and just do the best you can just to get that. Now there is a bit of a line where the sea meets the land. So I'm going to do that. I'll go ahead and do that. It's a nice thin line. I'm going to soften that just a little bit. So I'm just adding a little bit of water to my brush. And a bit too strong. A bit too strong here. Take some of that out. But that is as simple as I'm going to go, I think. And now it's just adding the figure. So I don't want to add too much detail on this figure. But this will make a nice, if I get this right, it'll be a nice silhouette. And it'll be a nice focal point for this painting itself. And the person here does have a slightly reddish top. I'm going to try and get that on. Let's come down a little bit more. And the legs, I'm not going to worry too much. I don't want to be a stickler. I want to try and just get a simple silhouette. Again, just want to take out, we've got a bit of a shadow. This might be a bit dark. I'll take a little bit off. Just blot it a little bit. Fade it out. You got the dog, which is a complete just a shadow. And a little bit of silver underneath. Take that off. There we go. Looks more like a cat. There we go. I'm not sure whether I'm happy with that yet, but I'm just going to add in these darker tone to the top of the land here. And again, just a bit of water, take some of the water off, just to soften that. And again, the bottom of this land, I'm going to darken that just a touch. And I do see this figure just needs some darken the head. And I'm just going to add little bits of darks on the beach, lots of footprints and marks in the sand. And you know what? I think I'm just going to add a little bit of land, almost a sand dune or something coming in here. It just gives it that extra something. A bit of a grassy dune, and I'm just going to add a little bit more dark to that, a bit of blue to that green and brown. And we're just flicking up for grasses and things like that. I just want to add a little bit more lines, a bit more detail to the sea. Oh, that's a bit hard. Add some water to that. If you get a line like this that's too dark, you just add just a little bit of water, just soften that up. think we'll need something the same over here. And just add a little bit of water just to take that harshness of the line out. And I think we can call that done. So there you go. It's just a simple scene. I didn't want to, although there's not a lot of detail on this painting, I didn't want to add too much into it. But there we go. There we go. I hope you like it. If you want, you can give this a go and see how you get on. But it's a nice simple beach scene, and I hope you enjoyed that. And for all of you that do subscribe and follow me, thank you for your support. Anyone that watches this and hasn't yet subscribed or liked, please do so. It will help my channel to grow, and I'm going to be doing some more pretty soon. I've just recently found a box of lots of photographs that I've taken years ago, and a lot of them are from an exhibition that I had. I did some oil paintings from that. As you can see, I've put some pictures up in the top right. So these are some of the pictures that I did for an exhibition, and I will hopefully at some point I'll do some oil painting and post some online for this channel of how I do my oil paints. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, bye bye.